Hello there, my name is Sixo, but more on that later, as now it's time for today's Toy of the Week video. So it can be hard to keep track, but we haven't as yet featured any toys from the 2001 Robots in Disguise line as part of these weekly highlights. So, as I've done previously, I thought it was wise to conduct another Twitter poll to help decide if it was indeed the series that I should give a platform to this week. Now, I will admit that I was secretly hoping this would be the result everyone would go for, but even if not, there was no way I was going to engineer the result, as that would have been seriously going beyond my station. Fortunately, I wasn't going completely loco, and everyone agreed that RID was indeed a magnificent choice for this week's spotlight, Trainwreck Averted. Oh, and once the series was decided, the final character choice went to my wonderful Patreon supporters, who narrowly concluded that the one and only Rail Racer, aka Car Robots JRX, should be our Toy of the Week. Full steam ahead then. Takara Car Robots JRX, later released by Hasbro under the name Rail Racer, is the combined mode of the three-robot squadron known as Team Bullet Train. The individual toys were originally released in Japan in the year 2000, before Hasbro, looking to buy time after the end of Beast Machines, brought them over to the Western market a year later. Though the three team members were only ever available individually under Hasbro release, Takara also released the full JRX gift set, which was in turn licensed out to manufacturer Sonokong for the Korean market in 2003. As the name suggests, Team Bullet Train is comprised of three robots who all turn into trains, specifically those found on the Shinkansen network in Japan. Shinkansen, known colloquially as bullet trains, have become an iconic piece of Japanese infrastructure since their first introduction in 1964, having been originally used to connect more remote regions of the country with the capital, Tokyo. Not only are bullet trains known as being some of the fastest in the world, but they remain some of the most punctual, most environmentally friendly, and some of the safest. In terms of Transformers, they're also some of the most unique vehicle forms you could think of, as so-called train formers are a surprising rarity in any iteration of the franchise. The Takara set is a real thing of beauty too, featuring some highly detailed paint applications on top of the clear plastic underneath, in order to allow for transparent windows along the sides of the train modes. By comparison, the Hasbro versions were considerably simplified and used opaque plastic in order to reduce the amount of paint required, although they're arguably more resilient as a result. All three train modes feature some clever weapon storage on their rear sections, which in each case doubles as the coupling required to link them together into a combined bullet train mode. Railspike, known simply as J5 in the Takara line, is the leader of the group and also forms the main torso of the combined mode. He transforms into a 500 series Shinkansen, as indicated by the painted decals, although this was replaced on one side by an Autobot logo on the Hasbro release. In robot mode, he's arguably the member of the team with the most traditionally humanoid proportions, although he's still a quirky lad all the same, boasting an oversized pair of shoulder pads and some stylish hip flaps. Unlike the other robot mode weapons, Railspike's gun doesn't feature a spring-loaded missile gimmick, but can be equipped with batteries for a light-up feature instead. Next up is Rapid Run, known as J7 in Japan, who, as the back section of the combined mode, is sporting the most distinctive colour scheme of the set. He transforms into a 700 series Shinkansen, characterised by its flat, duckbill-styled nose that even carries through to the character's distinctive robot mode face. On top of that, his humanoid form is a lanky affair, although it's boasting a surprising degree of articulation too, including a rather unexpected waist swivel. His weapon is formed mostly out of a section of his train mode roof, which, besides packing the spring-loaded missile gimmick, doubles as a decent blast shield of sorts too. Finally, we have Midnight Express, otherwise known as J4, who must surely have one of the most idiosyncratic robot forms of the entire Robots in Disguise lineup. he turns into an E4 series Shinkansen, and like his teammates is boasting a high degree of moulded and painted detail all over. Forming the bottom half of the combined mode, Midnight Express ends up with some very unusual proportions for his individual robot form. One can only imagine the number of times Transformers fans have felt compelled to suggest that he never skipped leg day in internet comments sections. Still, he's rocking the most handsome head sculpt of the three, and again features a spring-loaded missile gimmick for his weapon. As a set, they're a peculiar bunch of chaps, but still bring a lot of charm to the fore as part of a larger Robots in Disguise lineup. Of course, the real draw here will always be that remarkable combined form, with Rail Racer himself stepping up as one of the best looking Gestalt modes I think I ever did see. The transformation to get there is unusual in itself, with the three smaller robots combining in a set manner that provides plenty of surprises along the way. In fact, it's remarkable how accurately this particular conversion is portrayed in the accompanying series animation, although you'll need to shout Rail Racer's signature catchphrase all by yourself.
Triple power! Rail Racer!
The result is an unexpectedly attractive hodgepodge of train bits all smushed together in a surprisingly streamlined fashion, leaving you with a robot form that never fails to draw the eye. The head sculpt is especially noteworthy, with a set of vibrant red eyes cast beneath a translucent green helmet section. Elsewhere, Rail Racer makes use of all three individual weapons, with Rapid Run's blast shield in one hand and the other two guns combined to form his larger blaster in the other. It makes for the rather momentous culmination of an already impressive set of toys overall, fully establishing the Bullet Train team as one of the more memorable combiner efforts the Transformers line has ever provided. It's also a good indication of just how creative, and also how undervalued the Robots in Disguise line is as a whole, as it was seemingly able to churn out incredible toys like this as a matter of course. Suffice it to say that Rail Racer is one Transformers design I can really get on board with. So I've been flirting with the idea of assembling at least a semi-complete Robots in Disguise collection for a good few years now. I did actually have a few of the toys back in the day, and I always loved them, although there was some notable absences from my lineup at that time too, including some real classics like the Fire Convoy mold for one. Now, JRX was actually passed over to me from a really good friend of mine, and it's only fair to say that he was an instant hit in my eyes. I mean, of all the RID or car robots designs that I've experienced for the first time more recently, it's definitely been one of my favourites, even if the individual robot modes are a little on the quirky side to say the least. At the end of the day though, there's no knocking that considerable combined form, which remains a true one-off amongst Transformers Gestalts in many ways. Besides, who doesn't love trains? In fact, perhaps my only pause for thought here is some of the translucent plastic which is literally coursing through the entire structure of the Takara and Sonokong versions of this toy. I mean, it looks extremely pretty, but I've already noted a few spots on mine to be careful with, so it does make me a little nervous all the same. He's a handsome beast, but a delicate one to boot. Anyway, along with this guy, I've been quietly amassing a decent chunk of RID toys in the background for some time now, and I can honestly say that I'm well on my way to assembling something regarding a complete collection of sorts. It's funny because the Hasbro version of the line especially is such a random mishmash of differently designed toys, featuring repainted versions from every single previous part of the franchise at that point in time. I mean, it really shouldn't work cohesively, yet somehow when you put it all on a shelf together, it's really hard to not step back and just think, wow, this is a really cool toy line. I have no idea why it works, but it just does. All of that is to say that Rail Racer, or JRX if you prefer, is our Toy of the Week. So a big thank you for watching, and indeed to everyone who subscribed to the channel so far. Big gratitude also to all my Patreon supporters. Details are coming up at the end of the video in just a moment. Otherwise, that's it from me, so enjoy the rest of your day. TTFN.